Bill, Kathy, and their 2 kids go camping every summer. They go to a different place every year. This year, they went to Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is about 22 miles long and 12 miles wide. With an average depth of 1,000 feet and a maximum depth of 1,645 feet, Lake Tahoe is the second deepest lake in the United States. It's a beautiful campground. There is space for tents or RVs. It's surrounded by old-growth forests, glistening turquoise water, granite boulders, hiking trails, and more, including all the critters that also call the lake and forests home. They choose to camp in an 8-person tent. It's like a portable cabin. It has separate rooms for the kids and parents, has a living room area in the middle, and a screened front porch. It's the perfect way to unwind after a long stretch of hard work. The drive from North Carolina was long and arduous, but worth it. They arrived in the morning, checked in at the office, got their campsite location, and excitedly made their way to it. It was a very secluded site on the lakeshore. The gorgeous 360-degree view was breathtaking. Bill and his son Joey started setting up the tent. Kathy and her daughter Amelia unloaded the car and started setting up a kitchen area on the picnic table. Since Bill and Joey love to fish, they also brought their 12-foot-long John boat with them. After setting up the tent, Bill and Joey went to the boat ramp to launch their boat. Joey, being too young to drive a car, was in the boat. After a successful launch, Joey drove the boat to the private dock by their campsite. Bill secured the boat to the dock. After tying it off, Bill looked out over the lake. The beautiful scene was straight out of a movie. As Bill was looking in awe at the scenery, he noticed something splashing out in the water. Bill thought, "Fantastic! The fish are active and are probably biting." He retrieved their fishing tackle and loaded it in the boat. He asked Joey, "Do you want to go fishing?" Joey said, "Yes." So they hopped in the boat and cast off. They made their way towards the middle of the lake. After finding a good spot, they stopped the boat, baited the hooks, and cast them out. After waiting for about an hour, they didn't get any bites. Bill guessed the fish just weren't biting. Tired, hot, and frustrated, they decided to go back to the camp. As Joey was reeling in his line, he got a bite. A big one. It just grabbed it and took off. Joey's reel was squealing. It was a good-sized fish he had on the hook. Bill advised, "Be patient, keep the line taut, let him wear himself out, then reel him in." At 8 years old, Joey struggled with the giant catch. Eventually, the fish did tire out, and Joey was able to reel in some line. Bill got the net ready. As the fish got closer, Bill could see it below the clear blue water. It was a trout, a huge one. As Bill lowered the net to scoop the fish up out of the water, something ginormous swam up from the depths, grabbed the catch, and dove back down quickly. The line snapped, and Joey fell back into the boat and bumped his head. Bill was still staring at the water in confusion, trying to figure out what that was. Joey started crying in pain. Bill snapped out of his bewildered trance and turned towards Joey. "It's okay, buddy. We'll get him next time. Let's go back to shore and get something for your head." They slowly trolled back to the dock. When they got there, Kathy already had something cooking on the camp stove. Bill put an ice pack on Joey's head, and they all sat down to eat. After eating, Bill went to the shore to look out over the lake. It was late afternoon and still very hot. Joey and Amelia came running down to the shore in their swimsuits, excited. "Dad, can we go swimming?" "Of course, just be careful. The lake's very deep." "We will." They gleefully bounced in the water. As he was overseeing his kids enjoying the crystal clear water, he noticed something out in the middle of the lake. It looked like a log floating in the water. He kept his eyes on it. It was too far to see with the naked eye. So he yelled for his wife. "Kathy, will you bring me my binoculars?" Kathy walked up to Bill, carrying his binoculars. "What is it, hon?" she asked. "Probably nothing." He focused on the log. He noticed it wasn't a log. It was undulating in the water. He could see humps rising and falling into the water. "What the fuck?" he whispered. "What do you see?" I don't know. I need a closer look. Get the kids out of the water, now." Kathy rounded up the children and herded them back to the campsite. Bill got in his boat and started for the area where he saw the humps. I don't know about that idea. As he started to get closer to the thing, he could see a V-shaped wake moving through the water. He was about 20 feet away from it when it suddenly submerged. He saw what looked like a whale fin swish underwater, then disappear. Without warning, something jolted his boat violently. It rocked the boat so hard he nearly fell out. Not exactly sure what he witnessed, he quickly turned the boat around and headed back to the dock. Later on, as they were eating dinner, they heard a strange noise echo over the lake. They all stopped eating and looked at each other. Joey said, "Dad, what was that?" Just some wildlife trying to find a mate." He wasn't really sure, but didn't want to frighten the kids. It got a little later, and the kids were put to bed. As Bill and Kathy were enjoying some adult beverages by the shore, they heard it again. This time, it was louder. Bill said, "I'm going to go check it out. You stay here with the kids." Kathy reluctantly agreed. Bill grabbed his gun, just in case, and a flashlight, and got in the boat and cast off. As he slowly putted out into the dark water, he heard the howl again. This time, much louder. He shined his flashlight in that direction. At first, all he saw was the water glistening against the light. Then, as he was panning the light around, he saw something very strange. He saw the side view of a head in the shape of a cow sticking up out of the water. He frantically pulled his phone out of his pocket. He snapped several pictures off in quick succession. The head turned towards him. It briefly looked at him and then quickly submerged. Starting to get somewhat freaked out, he whipped the boat around and hastily returned back to dock. When he got back, Kathy asked, "Did you see anything?" "Yes, I got pictures of something." He pulled out his phone to review the photos. The photos were either too dark or too blurry to make anything out. One of them looked like a log or tree branch floating in the water. Dismayed he didn't get a clear picture of it, he put his phone away. The next day, the kids wanted to go swimming again. Bill and Kathy were a little apprehensive about it, but decided to let the kids have some fun. Bill was especially nervous since he got somewhat of a good look at it. He decided to stay on the shoreline and play lifeguard while the kids splashed away. They played in the water for a while, swang off a rope swing into the water, and generally had a great time. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Joey went under and disappeared below the water. Bill was looking at his phone at the time and didn't see it. Amelia started screaming for her dad. "Dad, Joey's gone! He went under the water and didn't come back up!" Bill immediately got in the boat and started searching the water for Joey. But he was nowhere to be found. Panic-stricken, he called the park ranger for assistance. In a few minutes, the park ranger arrived in his golf cart and started asking the parents questions about the kids. Getting frustrated with the whole procedure, Bill decided to continue looking for Joey on his own. Meanwhile, the park ranger called for a search and rescue team. In mere minutes, a team of rangers, dogs, and locals descended on their campsite. Several boats also arrived with the apparatus to drag the water for the boy's body. After searching all day for Joey, they came up empty. The search and recovery team told them they will return tomorrow at first light to continue the search. Bill and Kathy tried to go to sleep, but found it very difficult with their boy still missing. Hours passed by. As they're lying in their tent, eyes closed, Kathy hears Joey screaming for help in the distance. It sounded like it came from the other side of the lake. She tried to wake Bill, but he kept sleeping. She got up and tried to unzip the tent. It wouldn't unzip. She frantically pulled at the zipper. Starting to lose control of her wits, she screamed. When she did, Bill rolled over and started shaking Kathy. Honey, wake up, you're dreaming." Sleepy-eyed, crying, and distraught, she said, "Bill, Joey's out there somewhere, alive. We have to find him." "We will, sweetie." They laid back down, but didn't go back to sleep. The next morning, just before sunrise, Bill woke up first. He made some coffee and went down to the shore to look out over the lake. As he was standing there, he noticed 3 humps undulating in the water about 100 yards away. He dropped his coffee cup, ran back to the tent, grabbed his gun, jumped in the boat, and sped off toward the water beast. As he got closer to it, he opened fire on the monster. Water splashed up as the bullets hit the lake's surface. The beast started splashing about wildly. He saw its tail fin pop out of the water. It was huge, at least 5 or 6 feet across. He kept going towards it. As he was almost on top of it, it dove underwater. He fired a few more times down into the water. He stared into the blue water, still aiming his gun. He saw a blood swirl come to the surface in the clear water. "I must have hit it," he thought to himself. He raced, as fast as he could with a trolling motor, back to the dock. He jumped out of the boat and ran to the tent to let Kathy know what he saw. About that time, the park ranger arrived at their campsite and started asking about the gunshots. Bill told the ranger what had happened. The ranger called the search and rescue team. 20 minutes later, a SWAT-like team arrived and the search continued. There were rangers everywhere. They scoured every single inch of the lake. One of the rangers heard a child scream from the woods or the lakeside off in the distance. He couldn't tell exactly where it came from due to the echo off the lake, but could get a general area that it came from. They focused all their attention in that area. After searching for hours, a ranger's voice exclaimed over the radio, "I found him! He's alive!" The ranger gave his GPS coordinates out, and everyone rushed to it. Joey was cold, wet, shaking, and injured on his left side. He had a row of puncture marks in his abdomen. It looked like a shark bite. A small puddle of blood had formed on the shore under his body where he was sitting. He was airlifted to a local hospital. He was treated for dehydration, hypothermia, and stitched up. Bill and Kathy were elated that he's going to be okay. A couple of days later, Bill asked the park ranger if they found anything. The park ranger replied, "We did. We found some very large scales on the shoreline. They looked to be from a snake, except these were too big. They were the size of a dinner plate. The snake would have to be 30 to 40 feet long. We sent them off to be analyzed. The results just came back this morning. The results were, inconclusive." Bill replied, "What do you mean inconclusive?" "It means we don't know exactly what they're from." Bill and Kathy don't go to Lake Tahoe anymore. They just play it safe and go somewhere a little more low-key, like, Key West.